These next few weeks, we're going to focus on different types of sentences. So this week, we are going to work on what we call commands. And you're asking, well, what is a command? Well, a command is a sentence that tells someone to do something. That's a command. A command can end with a period. A command can end with an exclamation point when it shows that strong, excited feeling. So I put some examples of a command. Remember, a command is when you tell someone to do something. So for our first example says, pick up the pencils. So pick up the pencils is a command. It is telling someone to pick up the pencils. Notice how it ends with a period. So here's another command. Wait for me. That is a command. You're telling someone to wait for you. Wait for me. And look what it ends with. It ends with an exclamation point. So commands are sentences that tell someone to do something, and they can end in periods or exclamation points. So here's some examples. I'm going to give you a command. I want you to follow my command. My command is sit up straight. All right, did you follow that simple command? Did you sit up straight? Notice how it ends with a period. So here's another command. Put your hands on your desk. Did you follow that simple command? Did you put your hands on your desk? Notice how this command ends with a period. So here's another command. Remember, a command is when someone tells you to do something. Raise your left hand. So raise your left hand. That is also ending with a period. And our last example of a command sentence is put your hand down. And that command also ended with a period. Remember, a command is just a sentence that tells you to do something. Think about our game of Simon Says. And Simon gives lots of commands. He tells you what to do. All right, so let's look at our different types of punctuation for commands. Our first one is an exclamation point. So you use an exclamation point, and here's our little guy right here. It looks like an exclamation point. When you are excited or you are demanding. Demanding is like commanding. You want somebody to do something. And a lot of times if you want someone to do something, you say it with excitement in your voice, and you would use an exclamation point, or you would read it with excitement. And then you can also use an exclamation point when you are exaggerating. So if somebody was running and I wanted them to stop, I might say, stop. That's a command. And if I were to read it that way, I'd see my exclamation point and read it with excitement. Now, commands can also end in periods. A period is just our little dot right there, and it goes at the end of a sentence, just like an exclamation point does. And we might use a period when we're just making a statement at the end of our command. Put your hand down. That's a simple statement. There was no excitement in my voice. That sentence would end with a period. All right, so let's look at our sentences. Our directions tell us to read each sentence and identify the sentences that are commands. Remember, a command is when you're telling someone to do something. So number 1, paint more spots on the giraffe. Is that a command? Yes, it is. It's telling somebody to paint more spots on the giraffe. What about number 2? Does the leopard like his spots? Does the leopard like his spots? All right, is that a command? Is somebody telling someone to do something? No, it's asking a question. Does the leopard like his spots? And I know because it has a question mark. Number 3, stand still while you paint. Is that a command? It is. It's telling someone to stand still. It ends with a period. Number 4 says, those paints are new. Is that a command? No, that's not a command. That's just a simple statement. It's just telling us those paints are new. It's It's not asking us or demanding that we do something. It's just a simple statement. Number 5, stay away from wet paint. Is that a command? It is. It's telling us to do something. It's telling us stay away from wet paint. And this sentence ends with an exclamation point. So when we read it, we would read it with some excitement in our voice. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to pause this video and I want you to take turns giving and following simple commands to someone who is with you. When you've done about 2 or 3 simple commands, I want you to unpause my video and let's talk about what we're going to do this afternoon. So you have a paper in your binder and it looks like this, commands, and it's 1.4.1. And it tells us commands are simple sentences that tell someone to do something. A command begins with a capital letter. Remember, all complete sentences begin with a capital letter. And ends with a period. So today we're going to focus on commands ending with a period. And it asks us to fix these mistakes, to fix the mistakes we find in these commands. And we're going to use special marks for that. So let's look at number 1, and I'm going to zoom in. So here's our marks that we're going to do. We've got 3 lines if it needs a capital letter, and we have a little period with a circle around it if we need to add a period. So let's look. Number 1 says come home. So this is telling someone to come home. But what does it need? Well, it needs a capital letter. So I would draw these 3 lines under the letter C, showing that this letter right here needs to be a capital. And then I would add my punctuation. I would add the dot with the circle around it to show I need to add a period. I want you to do the same thing for sentences 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then down at the bottom, it asks us to revisit a piece of your writing. Don't worry about doing that because all of our writing is through Google Classroom and things like that. And you have someone that's helping you edit for all of those capitalization and punctuation mistakes. So don't worry about the part at the bottom.